we're doing door knocking from 11 to 2. And it's gonna be at what's it at? It's gonna be here. Let me in the here. Actually, let me post it in here.
Sweet. Where is the chat? There it is.
Yeah.
Map. Oh, you sent a maps link, huh?
Yeah. And then there's the regular address. So we're just gonna do it in West Valley, and that's.
Oh, it's West Valley now?
I was debating it in Provo like we were talking yesterday, but I think we're gonna have a better turnout if we do it somewhere somewhat more local.
You
So
realize I'm going to share my screen. You're going to get a kick out of this.
sure,
How do I share it? Share here.
it should let you.
I don't know what it's
Allow sharing.
doing. You can now share your screen. Oh, here we go. And I need to share entire screen, and we'll do this one. Okay, y'all can see the map.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a map I can move around? Yes. So you want us to meet here,
Yeah.
and that's my house.
Oh, is it really?
Yep.
You're walking distance almost.
Wait a minute, is
Almost.
that right? Yeah, 4,300. Yep, that's my house.
That's fun.
So yeah, I can just walk right over.
Boom. Well,
Yeah,
sweet.
I have door knocked all these houses about 6 months ago.
Was that for real estate or is for your other business?
Real estate.
Oh, nice.
There is a lot of good ones in here
Yeah.
6 months ago.
Sick.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Love it.
yeah. Anyway, sorry, I took over.
No, you're
Squirrel.
good. You're good. That's fine. All right. Let
Yeah,
me share my screen.
I don't mind the commute to that area.
Yeah. Yeah. You sure you're gonna can you manage it? You sure? If not, you can start now. Then you get there in time. Hopefully. No, just kidding.
Hmm.
Okay. So, in the community, if you want to find it, and I'll make a post about it either later today or tomorrow. But in the calendar, just in on Saturday, the door knocking bonanza. That's where it's going to have the address as well. So the address, the link,
Oh,
all
are
that
we
stuff.
able to
So
add stuff to the calendar? Or is it only you?
I'm pretty sure only I can. I can do if I give people admin access, they probably can. I'm not
Oh,
sure if you can.
I put
If you
something
see
in
this
the
little plus
calendar.
button, then you can. But I don't know.
I should try.
What do you want to add?
Add to calendar. Will it let me?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's just weird. Oh, add calendar to. I
Oh
put a
yeah, add
post.
to calendar. So this
Anybody?
adds to your own calendar. So when you go to
Yeah,
add to your
no.
calendar, Apple,
I
Google,
put a post
whatever.
up. I put a post on your thing so you can see what I'm advertising on your community. You can like it.
You put a post out in the community.
Yeah. See it?
Uh,
Did
Oh,
it
here
come
it
through?
is. Oh, your birthday party. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
So I'm doing it an hour
Cool.
after our door knocking.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be
And it's a little convenient because it's right down the street.
and everyone's invited then. That's awesome.
Everybody's invited, yes.
Yeah, I can make a post. I can make a event or calendar event too if you want.
It's up to you. I don't know. I don't know how many people I don't know. I just don't know how many people read things.
Yeah,
I don't know how many people look at the calendar either.
for sure. Okay. All right, everyone. Missed you yesterday on the practicing. We had a killer team. Tracy and Raquel. Raquel's not on here, huh? But we went over some really cool stuff. I'm gonna posting the video on it today. Um, it's just coming up with the transcript right now, so I can have the guide with it as well. But we went over a lot of cool stuff about like overcoming a lot of fears that one has, and Raquel was so gracious and being open. Like shout out to her, like that. It was so helpful when people were like that. When you're able to open up about your own challenges or I don't want to say shortcoming, but challenge is probably the best word for it. Because we all have them. We're all different, but a lot of people probably have the exact same stuff that she was going through. So kind of talked about, and Tracy was super helpful on given some really good insights as well. So it was a good call. Highly recommend everyone check it out. Okay. Does anybody have any before we kind of get into the thick of it? Does anybody have any questions or do they have any deals that you're working on currently? Any hot leads? What's your I had a really good conversation with a seller with Saul yesterday. He wanted some help, wanted some negotiations on it, and so that call went really well. But unfortunately, an agent got to them first, and so like their my ARV on it was like 450, and the realtor says that he can get them 500,000 to 550,000 as is before repairs. I'm like, my after repair value is like 450. I don't know where they're coming up with that. But I mean, and I was looking at there's a couple that sold for 500, but it was a little bit ways and just not great comps. And that's going to happen. And so this is like he doesn't have a time frame, but this is a good lesson for everybody. A lot of times with sellers, like when they get the idea, when there's no like urgency, if they don't sell it right away, they're okay. And you get this a lot with for sale by owners. This is why it's another reason why I want to bring it up. But so for sale by owners, let me pin my make myself bigger, only to pad my ego. That's all. Um, but so some agents, and they're I give agents grief a lot, and this is like the general. There's obviously really good ones. Like here, we have two really good ones. Just right here. If you're going to use an agent, like use one of those guys, like for sure. Like Charlie and Marvin, like for sure. But the unfortunately, the training for agents in general is not very good. I mean, it's great for a traditional. Just I'm gonna post. I need to sell my property. It's in good little condition. It's not doesn't need a ton of repairs and I'm looking for a house to live with my family. Thank goodness we have all those agents that can do those things, that can help those people out. I mean, so there's a huge need. Unfortunately, with a lot of brokerage, because the real estate school you take to get your license is not much of anything. It's like this is how to fill out forms. When I got my license back in 2019, and this is not to it may sound grandiose, but I don't mean it to be. But I literally like, and I was got educated with Renatus, learned all this stuff. Um, I I did the classes online, and so it basically like I had like 5 tablets on, and so I went through all the hours in like 2 weeks, because I had like a bunch of like 8 different tabs, and they're all were running for different sections of the course, and I just basically had a couple flashcards for some of the terminology, and I went and passed it. So it took me 2 weeks to get my license, and but I've already been doing the basic stuff already for years. Like that was like my 3rd or 4th year in real estate before I actually decided to get my license to have another option. And then so like the real estate school only gets the like the very basics. And Marvin, Shirley, if you guys can jump in, if I'm wrong too, please by all means. But what I've personally have seen is that a lot of like the brokers, they don't have a ton of really good training for them to understand exactly all the ins and outs. Now, a lot of times they'll have like a mentor, but then they're based on how much does that mentor know? Is it a real mentor or is this a guy or gal that's kind of held them out on their first couple of transactions and make sure they fill the paperwork right? There's some really good trainings out there that some brokers do. But my whole point of saying all this is that agents they know what they know, and a lot of times they feel like they know more. Um, but so when they're looking at like a distressed property that is not going to really qualify for much like FHA, and if it needs to do a lot more work than that, what I see is that, and internally, I don't think they're doing it on purpose for the most part. Most of them, I tend to lean towards ignorance versus malice, but they're pulling comps, but they're pulling comps of like repaired and AR, like the stuff we would pull for ARV. And a lot of times, like agents will, they want to be the hero, they want like, yeah, maybe I really want this listing because there are more agents than there are active listings in Utah right now. And if I had to guess, it's probably very similar across the states. So, and only like 20% are doing 80% of all of the transactions. You get people that are experienced, like Marvin and Shirley, and guys are closing more deals than the average agent. Like it's I think last stat I saw, I don't want to quote this, but I think it's like the average new agent closes um 1 one a year, I think it is. Like in the first year, they might close one transaction. So with all that being said, is that they'll like, so okay, I want this listing. I'm going to pull up comps. They don't necessarily consider the condition of the property, what it's going to be actually looking at, what are people comparing that property to, and they want to be the hero, so they'll get like, oh yeah, you can sell for this, and this, and I can get it for you. And what tends to happen is when properties are like way overpriced, overvalued, it stays in the market for a long time. Then they have to do a bunch of cuts on the property, and so then you get sellers where uh, they've been anchored in a higher price point with the agent, like, oh, I can sell it for 500. I'm like, I hope you can. I sincerely like it. Even if I don't buy it, I hope you can sell it for the most. If you can sell it for that price, that is so cool. That is awesome. Kudos to you. That'd be great. But in reality, is like they need a kick in the teeth. Reality has kicked them in the teeth a little bit, and unfortunately, the unexperienced agent creates an environment where reality has to kick them in the teeth to realize that, oh, it's not worth 500,000. It's actually worth at the current rate like 300 or 350 or even 375. Because they're getting a bunch of offers in at 300 and 400s, and it's like, oh well, why are we getting all these low ball offers? And then the agent may see some BS or whatever, but and then they're like trying to go down. And so when you get people like that, like that's going to happen. And for sell by owners are probably more, they have the wrong mindset of like, my house is made of gold. But with so when you make an offer and it's lower than they're willing to accept, they're anchored on a different price point for just mostly because of bad information, or because like they just feel like it's worth that much sometimes. Just put it on the follow up list. Schedule some text messages on your phone with them about the property. And when you do follow up with them, so with this guy with Sal, we said we want to reach out to him in a month or so. You ask permission, like, hey, is it okay? Yeah, I mean, first of all, totally understand if this offer doesn't make sense for you. If you don't want to sell it at that price, you shouldn't sell for that price. I totally understand. You know what? And is it okay if I reach out to you in a month to see how things are going? See if anything's changes, or I'll be very curious to see what kind of happens with this property, if you don't mind. And it's rarity. I don't even remember anyone that ever told me no, to be honest. I really can't even think of it. Maybe someone has, because I've done it like hundreds of times, had that conversation. But like they always say, like, yeah, sure, yeah, no problem. And schedule it right then and there. Like for me, like my ADHD brain, I gotta do it like right after that conversation. That's why I love scheduling in your text messages. Apple, Android, they all can do it. Um, so schedule and fall back, and then when you reach back out to them, one of my favorite lines of following up is, one, never say follow up. I should do a thing of what to say, what not to say. That would be a good little class too. Because it's always it's better to say follow up versus not following up at all. Like that, so it's better than nothing. But like then there's the better. So I don't like to say follow up because it makes you sound like what? What do people when they're calling someone or text someone and they say, hey, I'm just following up. Hey, I'm just touching base. What does that sound like?
Salesy.
Like a salesman.
Salesman, exactly. And where's the status of a salesperson versus everyone else? Where is it, pretty high or low? What do you guys think the status of a salesperson?
Very low.
Very low. Now,
Yeah.
if I'm talking to a real estate expert that's very busy, that has, opportunities, like, and honestly doesn't care if I take their offer or not. Like if they're the expert and this is like my first house I'm ever selling, maybe. Where do you think that if I, where's the expert on like status wise? Like where do you, on expertise and everything? Where do you put them? Higher than a salesperson, you say, or even like, oh yeah, they're the prize. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
The answer is thank you.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. I love participation, guys. I know it's kind of, you obviously know my answer. It's an easy answer, but yeah, I like the participation. And so thank you, appreciate it, guys. So yeah, it puts in a higher. If you are the expert and you're acting and you act as if you were the prize, when you follow up, is like, "Hey, as promised, you asked me to message you about the conversation about your property. I know you were going to sell it, put on the market. you probably already have it already on a contract or already sold. Like, I like to assume that they've already landed a deal because it's a pendulum. Whatever if you want them to say or think a certain way, you can assume the opposite and allow them to correct you. Because again, I see hear me say this all the time, quoting Richard Stock. If we say it's wrong, if they say it is right. So if they're correcting us, they feel like they're control. They're like, and it's something that they believe. Like it's like, yeah, this house is terrible. Totally believe why you want to sell this. Like, well, I mean, I've lived here for 20 years. It's not a mansion, but it's my house, it's my home. Versus I love this house. I can't imagine why you'd even want to sell this thing. It's beautiful. And it could be falling over, whatever. You can just say the layout there or whatever. Like, well, actually, it's not so beautiful. I mean, you've seen that hole in the roof and blah, blah, blah. So same thing. Like, oh, I imagine you're probably already under contract. Do you guys have a closing date or have you already closed? Like, I already assumed the best scenario for them. And if they did, great, cool. That's awesome. Love it. And so then it gives the opportunity for them to correct you. Well, actually, no, we haven't sold it at all. Like, oh, really? Oh, that's crazy. Interesting. Are you getting many offers? Well, yeah, but a lot lower. It starts the conversation. It's like, oh, I mean, but your agent. You seemed like the agent was so confident they would sell it at that price. Is something happened to the market or what's going on? I mean, just open it up to them. Let them know, like, give them the opportunity. We're saving their pride. We're helping them see the truth of what's going on. So that's just a good way to let reality kick in the teeth. And they may need another month or two. And so then just put on, great. I'll reach out to you in 2 weeks. See how things are going. And then ask for a referral. Ask if they want to join. Come to Renata's event. So on. Really, really good stuff. So that's just like follow up in general, and that's what like, and you will see. So that's good for like follow up in when the agents get they anchor them at a higher price point, but also in like the notice the not notice. Oh my goodness gracious, the for sale by owners. So for sale by owners, for I think everyone knows, but if you don't, that's fine. Maybe for the people that are watching the recording. But for sale by owners are because what's a for sale by owner? Someone tell me. They call it FSBO. What's a FSBO? Give
A
me a
seller that wants to save money by not hiring an agent.
right. So someone wants to sell a property, but they're not using an agent. Exactly. Perfect. So there's two categories, or maybe three. There's the vast majority, in my personal experience, the vast majority of for sale by owners, um, if reality was here in Tooele, they would be living in China. Like that's how far apart they are with reality. A lot of times they think that and this is the vast majority, not every single one. I've bought plenty of properties with for sale by owner. I've bought properties on Facebook Marketplace before. That's great. So it's there they don't the vast majority think their house is made of gold or it's worth too much. And you ask questions like, so where'd you come up with that price? And that's something too, guys. Like when you're talking to a seller, you want them to give you the first price, right? And for sale by owner, that's easy because it's like listed, hey, I'm selling this property for 500,000, for example. And like, yeah, I mean, so I'm seeing seems like a really great property. I'm not sure why you'd want to sell it. It's beautiful. Um, and I am curious with that $500,000 price. Where did you guys come up with that price point? And if you say, and when you're asking personal stuff, right? Sometimes it's a little it can be challenging to ask for like their mortgage information. You're asking like, what are you gonna do with the money when you sell it? Those kinds. It's very easy to feel a little something about it. Like that's really personal. I don't want to. If you ask those type of questions, like you, like it, like it is a big deal, like they're gonna take it as a big deal and maybe not want to tell you. And so it's like, so I like to say, I'm just curious. That's a really, really good catch-all. And even doing release statements, like, you don't have to tell me if you don't want to, but I mean, what's your mortgage on this property? When you do a release statement too, that's super, super helpful. So, yeah, where'd you come up with that price point? And this is where, like, some of the truth, like, if they're saying, like, "Well, I feel like it's worth that much." It just feels like it's worth that much. Or I put in a lot of money in this property, so I wanna get that money out. And that's another common response, in which on that objection, like or not objection, but that I put a lot of money, like, "Oh, really? What yeah, of course you agree with him. Yeah. Of course you'd want to get your money back. Yeah, I wouldn't expect you otherwise. Yeah. How much money did you put into it? And whenever you ask them and getting down to it, like 20, 30,000, but that means that they should get back another 200,000 on top of that because they put in 20,000. It's really weird. You get weird stuff like that all the time. And so but you want them to kind of see the truth for themselves. Like, yeah, so you put in $20,000 in the property to do the kitchen, and then you half that fence you were able to get up, the other half still on the ground. Okay, cool. Okay, I get that. Yeah. And how much did you buy it for? It's like, well, we bought it for 3 years ago for 500, I don't know, 400,000, 200,000, whatever the price is. And like, so, okay, so you're put in 20,000 and then, you bought it for that. Um, so where does the 500 come into play? Because otherwise you just, I mean, like, and I'm kind of a dense sometimes in my cowboy brain. It's like, is it, would it just be like $20,000 more or, plus with the valuation is, or what is, where you come up with the 500? Like you kind of almost like, and your tonality is gonna be very, very important and curiosity. And this is like more just getting them to see the reality of it, right? So it's like, well, yeah, maybe it's yeah, but I just feel like it should be 500,000, right? It really comes down to it. A lot of it's like just feel like the price point, or they looked up Zillow, or they've seen one property down the street that's a mansion that's 3 times as big, and it's in built last year, and their house was built in the 50s, and it has 2 bedrooms and holes in the ceiling, but it's close to their house, so it should be sold the same, and again, I'm not trying to disparage anybody, but you know what and you don't know what you don't know, and that's true for everybody. So we can give them a little bit of grace, but and it's important to be, it's you don't want to show your cards like you're an idiot, dude. You don't want to. You can say that after when you're not with them, but it's just like oh okay yeah I see. And was it just that one property that was sold for that price, or have you done any research on that? Um, and and with that conversation, like, so they may say, like, well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's other properties around. I mean, Zillow says it's for 400, but still think we sell for 5. Like, yeah, I totally get that. Here's a scenario I tell people or talk to people about, try to help them see the difference from, even if that house down the street sold and it's the exact same model, same year, everything's the same, but it was remodeled. So I'll say like, well, let me give you a little, because I had a hard time because I came before I got involved in real estate. I actually worked at Walmart, so like it took me a while to kind of understand this concept. But let me give you an example. Um, if you had 2 properties and you're not saying theirs, like you're kind of setting it apart. If you have 2 properties side by side, the exact same model, built the same day, like exactly the same, and 30 years passed, the one property they replaced the roof, new water heaters, they updated the kitchen, updated, the fresh carpet and paint. It looks pristine throughout the entire property. And then the property was built the same day next to it, that's the same square footage, same plan. The basement's still not finished. The other house, they finished it. They everything is basically the same as when they bought it. So the roof has some leaks. The water heater, the furnace is on its last leg. I mean, the carpet's in disarray. There's maybe some holes. The kitchen's dated, like 30 years ago. Bathroom's dated. If you had to buy a house in this area, is perfect, and you had your choice for those 2 properties, and this property on the right was marked for 500,000, would you pay the same amount for the other house as you would as that one marked 500,000? Or if they're both on the market for 500,000, which one would you choose to buy?
The fixer upper.
For 500,000 for the
No,
same price? I know we would
no,
because we want to get, like, okay, we want to buy it, but not at 500. Like that's the
exactly.
after repair value would be like 500. So it's like, would you pay for the same amount, or well, no, I wouldn't pay for the same amount if it's all messed up and needs a ton of repairs. Like, well, why wouldn't you though? Because and then you're like you want them to explain it. Like you want them to say it. We know the answers. We know the answers. You want them
Yeah.
to kind of see it and coming out of their mouth, and then it becomes real. So, but what do you mean? Like, tonality is huge. Being concerned, confused, curious, slow in your speech when you're asking these type of questions. Like, what? But I'm confused though. But it's the same like floor plan. They're built the same year. They're right next to each other. Why wouldn't they sell for the same price? I don't. And then silence is the best answer. Oh, for us. Sorry. The follow up to the question, silence is your best is the best choice. Then we sit there, look at them, and if they're not saying anything, or if you want them to continue talking, you can just nod a couple times slowly, like 3 times. That helps. And so you're nodding, and they're talking. Well, I don't know. Well, I guess I wouldn't because it's not the same. It's not the same condition. It has holes. I would have to put in more money just to get it to that price point or to that same condition. Oh, so what I'm hearing is that the yes, the location, your dates, the size, all that's important, but if it's not up to the same condition, it's not worth the same. Is that what I'm understanding? Well, yeah, that's exactly right. So you're now they're telling you why their own property, maybe not directly, but why their own property is not worth that $500,000 house that's down the road. Because it's and you might want to in your example use different price points because help them to look at it different and sometimes people don't even get it even after that and it's like or even at different sizes like what if it's like they're both in pristine condition right next to each other but one is an extra 1,000 square feet. Would you pay for the same price point? Would you pay for the same price? Well, no, I mean that's almost twice the house. It's a third of the house more than the other one. Why would I pay for the same amount of house? Like, okay, got it. So using like a different examples outside of their own situation, because their own situation is unique. It is their situation. It's different for them. That's all the mindset, right? So getting them to see like the valuations of how it's done and having them say it, that's the key. Because I can say like, yeah, and I've done this and to different success rates, explain things to them. And sometimes they just don't get it, and I have to resort to like trying to help them see it, like and tell them right. But ideally, it's this. I want them. We want them to say all of the hard things. We want them to convince themselves of why it's not worth that price point. Like with that being said, once we talked about the different conditions, I mean, do you would you buy this house for that price point when you know there's another house that sold for that much, but it was pristine condition. Like, well, no, probably not. Like, okay, great. Now they know that a little bit more. And another thing too is anchoring when you're having conversations with no, this is sellers in general, but for sale by owners. Um, I asked them, you want to anchor them into a lower price point. Does anybody what's an anchor as far as price? I know Josh White. Well, most of you guys probably know this, but what's an anchor? Let's talk about anchors real fast in having conversations with these sellers. Doesn't have to be Josh. It could be anybody. What's an anchor? Or no one has any idea, and that's okay too. But just let me know. Not all at once. Everyone, calm down. Calm down. Whoa, whoa, whoa. If we don't know, that's okay. Not
I
sure.
would say
Okay.
it's, I would say it's the condition. It-
Okay. So when we're talking about anchors, right, and in negotiations in general, um, and I know I've used this example on other calls, but okay, so Walmart, and I've done this for years before I even got into real estate and realized what I was actually doing, the science behind it. So, what does so when you got a big display at Walmart or some store or whatever, and it's on sale, and what do they always do when it's on sale? They'll typically say what the was price was. So this drink is on sale for $5, but it was $10 last week, or was $10. That's a $5 savings. So I'm looking at this $5 price point for this one drink, but I'm comparing it to the original price of $10. Like, oh, that's 50%. That's a good deal. That's 50% savings. But if I just saw this on a shelf and it was on a display and it was just this one drink for $5, I'm like, that's crazy. Why would anyone spend $5 for an 18-ounce can of soda? That's crazy. No way. But because there was a was price, I'm comparing it to the higher price. And so a lot of times when we sell things, you're comparing it to what you bought it for. Like, hey, I bought it for 300, but I sold it for 350. Like, dude, that's awesome. I made it. Um, so when we're talking to sellers, and this is for sell by owners, well, this is all sellers, but if they have a price in mind, they're anchored to that. So they're comparing all of your offers to their price point. So if it's 500 and my offer is 350, what's the comparison? Like, oh, that's way different. That's way 350 is, and maybe if they never thought about 500 and 350, like in a vacuum, they're like, okay, I mean, yeah, that's okay. I mean, that's not bad. But when they're comparing against 500, oh yeah, that's a big difference. Even 450 compared to 500, that's $50,000 cut. And so it's like, it feels worse. So you're when you're talking to sellers and they already have they are anchored, and guess what? You are anchored too in the higher price point. You are affected by the psychological tricks as well. And maybe it's not a trick, but it's just a psychological effect because they don't know what's going on, right? So a lot of times they'll like that's when like they'll try to like number based solutions, right? So what I'll say, because you can anchor them on a lower price point without having to give them a low ball offer. So when I talk to them and like maybe go through and have a conversation about what they want to sell the property for, where they got the price, and I'm like, well, I bet you probably been getting some offers though, right? Oh, we got a few. Like, oh, if you don't, yeah, what was those offers? Well, we got some low ones, and maybe they haven't getting offers, and a lot of times, by the way, if they do say that they have gotten offer, and it's like, but it was like 450, and like we didn't like it very much. Like, oh, okay, cool. Um, but I want a lower anchor. Like, oh, really? Okay, that's a lot higher than I was expecting. I know people, I know other investors that would offer you like 300 or even 250. Can you imagine someone coming in offering 250 for this property? That wouldn't you probably wouldn't like that, would you? Well, no, of course not. It's crazy. Yeah, can you imagine? And I say that price point a couple times because we are even though no one offered them 250, but that's the price point that they're now that they're we're anchoring them into. So now when I give my offer of like 350, 350 feels a lot better than 250. Is that fair to say? If I was getting a bunch of offers at 250 and then one at 350, even though I wanted 400, 500,000, like, okay, well, compared to those other low ones, this is the best one. This one I feel better versus the only offer I ever got was 350 in a vacuum. It's just okay versus like, okay, yeah, this is a deal. This is a good one to jump on. Does that make sense? So we do the exact same thing with and it's anchoring into a price point. So we want to anchor them in a lower price point. And that's why I like, oh, I bet or I know someone that would have because it's I'll find anyone that can give them an offer for 250 or 100,000 less. I'm not lying. Like there's people out there that just here's a dollar, this is my offer. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean they're going to take it. So I can say that with confidence and like, yeah, I know people that probably would offer you like 500, 200 or 250 or even 200,000 for this property. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and so when you give them your offer, it's a lot better. So finding out what they've been getting and their offers that they're maybe going back and forth, um, will give you an idea of what they've been seeing, right? So if all their offers they've been getting has been like that low ball price point, then it's like okay, gotcha. I know we can anchor them into that to a lower price point. Now, sometimes and I'm going to more deep into negotiations, but like this is for sell by owners specifically. But a lot of times, what they'll do is um, they'll say like, "Oh yeah, I got an offer for 550,000, or like it's asking or above or just barely under, and it's like nowhere near that we can get." So, and a lot of times, I get the feeling that those offers are BS. They're not true. Or it was an offer that they got like years ago and they added a couple zeros or who knows. But most of the time it's BS. So when they say like, yeah, I got some offers. You got the guys can call me about an offer here soon, and it's been on the market for like 6 months. Like, okay, sure, yeah. Um, so when they say things like, oh yeah, then yeah, we got an offer at 490. I mean, we would take that before we take your 350. Like, oh, you got an offer at 490? Oh yeah, you should take that for sure. Even before I say my number. Like, there's no way I can come close to that. You should definitely take that offer. I mean, is there any reason why you didn't? It seems pretty legit. I mean, it's more than I could do. And then they're gonna say then they have to justify why they didn't take it. Well, I mean, that was like 6 months ago, and I have to talk to them, or it's complete BS, and they're like, "Well, I don't know, the guy kinda left," and there's always more to that story, even if it is somewhat true, there's always more to why they didn't take it. Because like so whenever they get that, because they 'cause they're whether it's intentionally or not, they're working you. They're working you to get a higher price point, and I don't blame them for doing so, right? I get it. So it's like, just making sure you and whenever they give like, "Oh yeah, I've gotten more offers. I've done this," and if it's better or higher than oh yeah, and you should do that. Do that 100, yeah, yeah. There's no way that I can't come close. Do that. I call them out on it. Like you're pulling away. It's the same time when we're door knocking and we start doing the spiel, and then they say, well, yeah, and like, yeah, we're company. We're planning to buy 4 or 5 properties in the area, and they say something like, "Oh well, I don't. Yeah, this house is not for sale." Oh, good. Yeah, I don't want to buy your house anyways. So pulls away, and we pull away, and makes it. Well, why don't you want to buy my house? And then like when you pull away on the offer, oh, you should take that then. Yeah, call that guy back. I mean, shoot, I don't blame you. I got other prospects I'm getting. Like when you don't need them, that comes across. When you act as if you are the prize, because guess what? You are all the prize. If they don't sell to you, you just buy someone else's house. That's okay. But they only have one house to sell, and most of the time that it's a time limit why they have to sell it. So those are some techniques to help them see the valuation is not where it is, what it really is, and also and anchor them in a lower price point, because if they already have up in the sky their house is made of gold prices, then you want to anchor them in a lower price point by just guessing, or like I know people that would have, oh, that's I'm surprised you haven't got any offers that are this, and this. You know what I mean? So we're anchoring the lower price point. We're helping them see the valuation, how it works, because they don't know. They don't know. This is maybe their only house they've ever bought, or maybe like the third house in their entire life, and they're in the 60s. It's totally that's totally fine. So um, with for sale by owners, it's really nice to because it they're I want to sell my house. That's awesome. It's a really good lead source. Going on KSL, going on Zillow, Facebook Marketplace. We did that the other day, looking talking about it. But there's certain classes what I like to or classes, but certain times I like to hit notice of or for sale by owners is when they first put it on the market. So they just put it on Zillow 3 days ago. I want to talk to that person because there are again, there's the vast majority are kind of like them reality is not close by, mostly because they just don't know what they don't know. But there are people that are like, yeah, I know my house is not perfect. I know my house would sell for this price. Like their price point they're asking is very reasonable. And so but those properties get bought pretty quick. So it's like when they first send it out, like I'll try to reach out to those people. Um, and then afterwards, so if that doesn't pan out, because most of them still are going to be thinking their house is made of gold, which is fine. You just weed those out, but then find someone that's actually offering a decent price and or willing to negotiate better. Those are the new ones, and then they look at houses that are listed for 6 months plus. That's when reality is kicked him in the teeth. So if I'm selling my house for 500,000 and all I'm getting is 300, 200, maybe one at 400, and I wish I would have took it kind of thing. If I'm getting all of these offers of this, like, oh, well, everyone's giving me a low ball offer. Like, is it a low ball offer or is that's what the house is worth? You don't say that, but yeah. But now they maybe realize like, you know what? Maybe this house isn't worth, maybe it's not made of gold. Darn. And then they're more willing to have a conversation about negotiating down to the price or doing creative financing kind of thing. Because now it's like, Yeah, it's not hasn't sold for 6 months, and yeah, so it's either brand new or older, FSBOs for sell by owners. Those are the ones I like to hit. And most platforms that you're looking on, Facebook Marketplace, KSL in Utah, Craigslist, all of those marketplaces, will tell you when it was listed. So that'll give you an idea. And a lot of times you can filter it through that so that you can see what is listed for. Okay, yeah, so I got some Google answers. Uh,
That was just part of it. It went on and on and on about how
oh
to
yeah.
use different kinds of anchors in selling.
Oh sure, yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, anchoring the price point is basically what I'm referring to, right? Because yeah, there's anchoring them. And, you can anchor emotion like NLP. You can you do all sorts of cool stuff. But like as far as like negotiating and anchoring price points, like that's what I like to do. Get them off of their high anchor. We want them in a lower anchor. And even still, like when I'm offering seller financing, because you can usually offer more or have better terms with seller financing, but I'll first anchor them with my cash offer, so it's like, oh, that's super late. And I'll even sometimes, I'll even, if I really want to push for seller financing, I'll even say like, you know what, I have this offer, and honestly, I don't think you're going to take it. I think it might be too low for you before you even said it. And this is something else as well. Like it's the opposite, the pendulum effect, right? If I say, and this is something that another thing too is like when if you read Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, highly recommend. Like, that's another book you should read like yearly. And he has a Chris Voss is an FBI negotiator, really good stuff. But he talks about what is it called? He calls it something where you name the fear ahead of time, whatever you're afraid of them. Like, oh, you probably think I'm an investor that's just trying to come in here and steal all your equity. You probably think I'm this. You probably imagine I'm this. And whatever the worst fear, like, oh, I probably think I'm inexperienced investor, like I'm in my first deal. And their natural reaction is like, oh no, I don't think that you're a bloodsucker investor. I don't think that. They're gonna go the opposite way, which is another reason why I know I'm getting into negotiation in this, but does this make sense? But another reason why you don't say, hey, I'm being honest here. Never say I'm being honest. An honest person doesn't say, "I I'm an honest person." They don't say that. They're just honest. If you're trying to convince someone you're honest because you're not, then you'll say, "I'm honest." But you don't say those things because you're just honest. You act with integrity. You don't have to tell people to act with integrity. You just act with integrity. It's just something. It's just part of you. It's just there. So if you're and for me, that's a red flag. When people are saying, and this is all like subconscious stuff, guys. When people say this stuff, it's like, oh well, yeah, I don't think that if a guy's telling me he's an honest person and you should trust him, they say you should trust him. Like, dude, you're the last person to trust. Mm-mm, no way. Big red flag for me. Anyways, okay. So back to the for sale by owners. Um, where was I going on that? Oh yeah. So when I'm even before that, so it's like the same thing, the pendulum effect. I say one thing, but I want them to think and say the opposite. So it's like you're probably not even gonna want to take this offer. It's way too low for you. It's just not going to work out for you. I'm pretty sure. And it's just like, well, no, tell me. I want to know. Like, I almost don't want to tell them. Like, don't tell me the offer. What is it? I get it. It's not probably not what I'm take, but what is it? Like, you're drawing them in by pulling away. And so, like, yeah, it's gonna be 200,000. It's gonna be 300,000. Like, oh yeah, that is kind of low. Okay, and then you quiet, and then obviously you want to, if you're doing it well, you sandwich it in with their pain points offer and then what they're running towards. But that's a whole other conversation. And they're like, well, yeah, that's something not. I mean, well, if I can get you higher, if I might be able to get you closer to that 500,000, we have to be a little creative. Would that be okay if we talked about that? Well, yeah. So now we anchor them in a lower price point, and now we're talking about seller financing and getting interest and so on. But that's another conversation in the call. So yes, for sale by owners, you can buy properties. You just gotta understand where they're coming from and help them see through their own words that they say. Like that's why it's important to ask the right questions. is to communicate the right way so that they can tell you that their house is not worth that much and why. And they can tell you why they didn't take the offer of over their asking when it turned out it wasn't over asking or it wasn't real or it was a lot of conditions or they tried but they never closed or who knows what, right? So yeah, those are just for sell by owners. It's a really good way to get some leads. Any questions on like for sell by owners, even like where to find them? They're pretty. I mean, it's hard not to hit for sell by owners, right? But or to find them. They're everywhere. Zillow, Redfin, any third party websites, KSL, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. I mean, you name it. But any questions on dealing with for sell by owners?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. All
Thank
right.
you. That was a lot of good info.
Yeah. Another thing I want to talk about is in the last like 10 minutes here is driving for dollars. Driving for dollars. Because someone give me a quick explanation what driving for dollars is.
Driving around, taking different routes to where you need to go and find deals.
So find deals how, like what are we looking for?
Uh,
Houses that
shoddy
look abandoned.
landscaping.
Houses are abandoned. What was that last thing you said? Sleeping? What?
Shoddy landscaping.
Oh, landscaping. I don't know why I got sleeping from that. Okay. Shoddy landscaping.
Uh,
So
if you drive around and you see it a couple weeks, their trash cans never move.
yep.
Distressed properties.
Yes. When I first heard about driving for dollars, D4D, driving for dollars, I thought that was the stupidest strategy I ever heard in my life. And in fact, I thought wholesaling was the stupidest strategy I ever heard in my life too. Funny thing. When I first heard about it, like, wait a minute, so you want me to drive around? But are we preaching about time and the value of not wasting your time and whatnot and being effective? Like, why would I drive? I don't see properties like that, like ever. So why am I going to waste time and gas to drive around and look for a vacant property? And when I started doing it, it's like, oh, and closing deals from them and finding ton of leads. I was like, okay, yeah, this is legit. It's especially when I first started out when I just had sweat equity, making phone calls and then driving for dollars. Like those were like my big lead funnel for me was driving for dollars, huge. And I love driving for dollars, right? And here's the thing, guys: when we're looking for distressed properties, you, it's it's not just one thing. It's like a combination of multiple things that we're looking for. So if we're looking for houses, just like everyone already mentioned, like bad landscaping. So like the grass is super long, boarded up windows, boarded up doors, broken windows, really really bad roofs. Maybe there's a note on the door. Like that's a huge indication. Like if there's a note on the door, I'm gonna go up there and knock on the door, or at least read the note and see what it is. Like because that indicate like could be a violation from the city, could be a foreclosure notice, eviction notice. All those things could it's indicating a problem. So you see a note taped to the door, that's a property you want to pay attention to. But if and when it snows, if it snowed like a week ago, and everyone has shoveled their walk, of course, but that one house still has all the snow there, and there's no footprints going back and forth. Piles of newspaper in the front. Well, people don't get newspapers anymore, really, but if there's like piles of newspapers or letters, or in the front door, all these indications. Maybe it's not just one thing, but you're seeing like one or two or three. Like, okay, that's probably a distressed property. That could be potentially vacant. Like Josh, the trash, if it's there, hasn't been moved. I like to drive for dollars on trash days in those areas, because then if someone's not living in a property, it's distressed, they probably didn't put out the trash either. Or they just like, but then again, like literally last week, I forgot to put out my trash because I've just an airhead, forgot to put out my trash. That'll happen. That's why like you're looking for multiple things. Driving for dollars at night. This is, you have to be careful when you do this, be safe. But I like driving for dollars at night because then I can see the lights are on. Like that, the house lights is off, it's 7 o'clock at night, and this could be out, but I can drive. I can drive and take a better look at the house. Does it have long grass? Does it have the snow on there? Does it have bad roof? Is there anything boarded up? And I see another sign, like, oh great, I'm going to write down the address. And using, driving for dollar apps like Deal Machine, or just what I would do, I would just when I first started, like you could pin it in like Google, or pin it in the maps, iPhone or Google Maps, whatever you're using. But what I would do is take a picture of the house, and I make sure that the house number is in the picture, and then I would take a picture of the street sign in the corner, because then I would have street. I know what city I'm in, the street sign, and then also the house number, and also a picture of the house too, to kind of for reference. And then I can go back and look for the owner. Um, and the cool thing is, like, you can. This is something you can do whether you don't have any time at all, like, which is kind of odd to hear because you're driving around doing time. But if, like what Josh pointed out, one of his first things he said was that driving in different routes. So you're dropping the kids off from school. Okay, leave 5 minutes earlier and just drive a different road. Instead of going on the main road, you're going to the side roads. You're getting more time and everything. That's fine. But you're just driving different paths. I'm going to the grocery store, but I'm going to work, but I'm gonna leave 15 minutes early, and just so I can drive a different route. It may take me a little bit longer, and I want some time so I can take the pictures and whatnot and not be in a rush. And if it's like, well, I don't even have 15 minutes, like, we'll wake up 15 minutes earlier. I mean, you'll be fine. 15 minutes less of sleep, you'll be fine. I mean, anyways, like, sleep's a cheap substitute for caffeine. So, I mean, definitely healthy. But yeah, you'd be fine. Like, that type of stuff. This is something, if you have no time at all, this is something you can do. And this is a great way for, like, we haven't talked about mini army in this iteration just yet, but getting other people driving for dollars for you is a great way to capitalize on your leads, like, and pay them on commission. That's why I got a lot of people. One point in time, I had like 10 people driving for dollars for me. Either that was like they specifically, like, that's where they were doing. They went out to drive for dollars, or like maybe they're Uber Eats. If they're Uber driver, Uber Eats, you're driving on all day anyways. So it's pretty easy to, as you're driving, as you're doing your Uber Eats, to look at. So if you know anyone that's doing Uber Eats, like, hey, do you want to make an extra $2,000 this month? Well, yeah, if you get an address, send it to me, and I end up buying it, I'll pay you $2,000. So you only pay them if you make money. It's pretty fair to me. Now, with that, you top of mind, you gotta, like, remind them, and it's like, hey, how things are going? Have you been able to drive? Because if they haven't got paid right away, it's just like, you can have them like, hey, just text me every day. I just want to see how things were going, or whatever. I don't know. You can work it out, whatever system you want to be on, so the front of mind. But the cool thing is, like, what I've noticed when I first started to drive for dollars, because when I first thought about it or heard about it, I was like, I don't see any of those properties ever. Like, why am I going to try to find those? They are everywhere, guys, everywhere. Like, it's the same, like, when we buy a car, what do we notice most? When I had my Tesla, when I first bought my Tesla, I don't remember seeing a ton of Teslas out on the road. They were out there, but not like, there wasn't anything I really noticed. After I had it, I noticed that car everywhere. And mine was a Model S. It was a $150,000 car, like the fastest commercial car out there. And I was seeing those cars like everywhere. It's like, but I didn't notice it before. So our brains are constantly getting information every single second. And the reason why autism people don't communicate, because there's no filter. They're receiving all of the information, is all coming in all at once. Do you guys feel, if you're wearing pants, do you guys feel your pants touching your leg right now? Anybody? I mean, you don't have to out yourself if you're not wearing pants, but you know what I mean? Or skirt or whatever, right? Or feel your shirt. You feel the shirt on your skin?
Now I do.
Now, exactly. Now you do. You didn't notice it until you brought attention to it. But guess what? Your skin and those nerve endings are constantly sending signals to the brain. Hey, something's touching me. I'm getting pressure. Pressure. There's touching me. Something touching me. Something touching me. All the time, nonstop. So your brain shuts off, is blinded to 90% of, I don't know the actual percentage, but shuts off like 99% of everything, all the senses that we're getting, what we're hearing. You guys have been in a crowded room, and then you hear someone say something that you're interested in, but you heard it, but you didn't hear someone else speaking about, I don't know, something you're not even interested in, some dumb show, whatever, and it didn't even register. Just white noise. But someone said a word about real estate, like, oh, or for me, it's like I hear someone says Star Wars. I'm like, oh, what? Like, because I have in my actions and what I'm doing, I've told my brain it's important to me by my actions, what I'm doing. And so it's like, oh, we heard something over there. This is something I'm gonna put in front of mine. Because we're hearing all of those things. That's why like autism, like they don't that's why it's so like so crushing for them. That's why they can't communicate because there's so much input in all at once. So thank goodness us that don't have autism, or at least on the lighter part of the scale, maybe. But it's like, okay, we're blessed with a beautiful brain that doesn't make us go crazy. Awesome. Love that. So that's why it's like when you start looking for these type of properties, is the whole point I was getting to. When you start looking for these properties, you will see them everywhere. And so as you're driving, it's just pull, and it takes like a minute, like not even a minute, like 10 seconds. And it gets to a point where it's just like family members get irritated, like they're driving with someone and they're like, maybe we're late, like, oh, and I see when I pull over real fast and then, take a picture or pin it in my app or whatever. And I'm like, oh, what are you doing? Like, well, let me just I got to get this, and then you just reach out to them, like the same way that we showed you guys how to look up the person's information for the parcel, and there's plenty of training on it. But you go to the parcel search for that city, and then put in the address. Bam! Now you have the seller's name. Then go look up the phone number. Have AI do all those things for you because it can. It's freaking awesome. So yeah, the driving for dollars is a really really nice way of doing it. And I remember especially like when my kids were younger. I told him like, hey, if you guys see a property like this, and I tell him about what we're looking for, if daddy buys it and you let me know about it, right? First, like you're the one that told me about this address, about this property. I'll pay you $500. $500 for an 8-year-old is like infinity money. So maybe you don't want to say $500. Could be whatever amount that your kid's going to be to pay attention to. But I remember this, like my two oldest ones, and this is like, 7 years ago, 6 years ago, but they were plastered on the windows, like as we're driving looking for stuff, and they were fighting over, no, I saw that one first. I saw that first. It's kind of fun. But you can get other people to help you with driving for dollars. Just find other people that are in that scenario, or that are out and about, or to someone that wants to make an extra $2,000. You can make a post. Who wants to make an extra $2,000 this month? Comments. They're going to get plenty of engagement in that. Like, well, I do. What's the catch? What's the scam? Or whatever it's going to come up, right? But it's like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. If someone gives me an address, I end up buying. When I close, I'll pay you $2,000. Oh, that's easy. And once you pay them once, they're in. You got them for the next like year of looking for deals and things like that for you. So it's pretty cool. Any questions or thoughts on driving for dollars? We went into but who has driven for dollars before, or had other people drive for dollars for them? Like they call it bird dogging.
Yes to both.
Yes to both. Okay.
So
How was your experience, by the way?
Oh, it was fabulous.
Fabulous. I like
I
that.
used to work for a real estate investor, and I'd bring over 80 deals in 1 year. He did over 80 fix and flips by leads I brought him.
Wait, so he did 80? Was that 80 leads, or 80 actually closed?
No,
80.
He closed like 88 deals, I believe, in a year. I brought him gobs of leads. So I ran a door hanger business.
Uh-huh.
I had people running around putting door hangers on doors either for buying real estate or
Some
clean
advertising
windows,
thing.
yard
Yeah.
work, pizza, all kinds of stuff. I'm like, if you see a house that's an ugly duckling, the yard's a mess, it's boarded,
Mhm.
it has a condemned sign on the window or whatever, on the door, whatever, let me
Yeah.
know. And I'd hand these leads over to that investor. And I worked in different areas. So he didn't take all the leads because some of the areas were outside of his range.
Sure.
So I'd give them to other investors. But yeah, it's
Did
very successful.
did he pay you by the leads, or by what he closed, or how did he
I
compensate
got
you?
$5 a lead back then.
Okay. And that's
$5 a lead is what I got. I look back on it like, this guy he's a relative. He made he made hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. My sister had a $15,000 a month allowance. Shouldn't say too much. I think there might be some people here that know who I'm talking about. But yeah, they were just rolling in the dough.
Well, and that's the thing. So that's one thing. If you're having, so one thing I did have a hard time with is keeping people, when you're paying people on commission, it is to the retention, especially if they don't, that's why it's ideally to find people that they're already in the area. They're already out there already. So it's not like that big of a hurdle to write down an address that they're already right next to.
Yep.
Like a door hanger business. I'm already out there putting door hangers. If I see distressed property, I'm just going to take a picture, write it down, done. I'm going to keep on doing my thing. Right. So, but but for the retention for those people to keep on sending you leads and if you don't end up closing any with them in the first month or two, so a lot of times it's kind of hard to keep them going and motivated, right? Well, it's been,
It is.
but
Like,
paying them per lead though, and that depends like on the scale, right? Because I would save more money if I said I'm gonna pay you $5 a lead, and obviously you're gonna do some quality. Like, hey, listen, you're sending me a bunch of these. These are that's not
there's some
distributed,
scammers that just grab the yellow pages or whatever, white,
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
Just,
So you have to be very careful, and then not you don't want to throw that offer to anyone, right? Just people that's not going to try. But if it's like, dude, you just gave me every address in this phone book, or whatever it is, right? It's definitely not. This is not what we're looking for. So you got to be careful with that. But
so they give me pictures and such of the property and the notice. Oh, the other thing I'm doing is I have a postal carrier that's giving me all their vacant
oh yes,
they have.
yes.
And they gave me over 30 leads. And I had someone else that was skip tracing those for me and supposed to call. Nothing turned up with them. So that's one reason I'm doing the wholesale games, learning how to do some of this stuff myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where my weakness is. I can get in the leads, crazy easy.
Right. Leads are easy to get. They really are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Finding the homeowner, think that type of thing, the skip tracing and figure out how to throw it together and all that. I've always had other people did that.
Yeah.
So I need
to.
Well,
and that's, I mean, we got that. And even in the classroom, there's step by step and how to look up that information too, right? So
yep.
Yeah, that's we're past 12, so we got to wrap it up a little bit, but yeah, utilize Driving for Dollars if you want to reach out to the for sale by owners. Like there's some good tips on how to like have those conversations first of all, right? Find out why they even came to that price point, so on, and Driving for Dollars. Like don't sleep on it. And another thing too, like and there is Driving for Dollars class. There's a classroom in in the school. So if you want more information on that, just write in the classroom tab up here. Scroll down to what was I? Okay, but door knocking, cold calling, and then how to find off market deals. And so this is where Driving for Dollars. Bam! There's like really good detailed information on what to look for, all that stuff. So that's just, and this is again, it's like 15 minutes. You can go through and get a lot of information, and then also skip tracing, how to find the owners with just the address. I think it's supposed to say address. That's interesting. Okay. But yeah. Perfect. All right, guys. Yeah, let's call it a day. So appreciate, again, just a reminder, Saturday 11 o'clock. In the calendar is the address of where we're meeting. We're doing door knocking. We'll go over the scripts then as well, and you're not gonna be alone. So we're gonna split up in pairs of twos and threes. This is, I mean, it's really fun, and it's a lead multiplier is what we're gonna be doing. So it's phenomenal stuff. Okay, awesome guys, appreciate you all. Love you.
Thank you, Jared.
Yep, thanks guys. Bye everybody.
Yep, thanks. Bye.